What's going on, guys? Gonna be another power hour stream, but we're gonna do things a little differently today. So what I wanted to do today, since I just released a couple of videos on how to read order flow using like volume profile and whatnot, I thought since you guys really like the volume profile analysis, you guys really like the volume profile kind of technique that I use, I thought throughout the day I was going to mark out basically every single level that I was looking at, and how I basically trade using the volume profile, right? So throughout the day, as you can see on my chart, I've been marking basically every single move, every single like target and support, resistance, all the little levels that I was watching throughout the day, I've been marking, okay? If you guys are in the Discord, I've been live calling these basically the entire day. So it's going to be a little more difficult to talk about on stream in hindsight. But just know that in Discord, basically every single one of these levels was called out prior to it being drawn. Or I drew it, called it out prior to it being hit. Okay. So we're going to start off obviously from the beginning. I'm going to talk about what happened at the beginning of the day, and then I'm going to talk about how you could have traded this using the volume profile levels and whatnot. We actually just hit a level that I just called out here in Discord a couple of minutes ago. So let's get started. So today, or like right now towards the end of the day, the profile looks very balanced, right? It looks extremely balanced. You have a little bit of volume towards the top of the day on the value area high. So up here, you have most of the volume towards the middle, with the POC being pretty much balanced in the middle, right? And then you have a little bit of volume down towards the bottom, but not a lot. So the overall day looks like a balanced profile. But if you guys were watching this profile throughout the day, it was not like this. Most of the day, it was a P shape. We saw that initial breakdown. Where's my brush here? We saw that initial breakdown. It's kind of hard to see with the volume profile here. I'll turn it off. So we saw that initial breakdown here. You had that gap down about probably like 1% or so. Yeah, about 0.5%, nothing too big. So you saw that initial gap down. You saw most of the volume towards the morning session being towards the low. So you had that failure downward, and then you reversed, right? This is where your open is, right here on this blue line, and then the green line was your low of day. I'm using the new indicator that we just released to the Discord, the Oasis Trading open, high, low levels. So blue is going to be the open, green is going to be the low, and red is going to be the high, right? So right here, we saw the gap down, failure downward. Once you regained VWAP, basically for the rest of the day, you were bullish. So what do you normally see when you have that gap down? You have a little bit of volume, but then you shoot up. The volume profile is going to give you that P shape. Most of your volume is going to be towards the upper range, while you only have a little bit of volume towards that initial failure, right? So what do we know about P-shaped volume profiles? P-shaped volume profiles, you want to be a little careful selling the highs, but you are pretty safe to buy the lows because the overall day is bullish. So you should be seeing, as long as your price is above VWAP, so let's say VWAP is right here, as long as your price is above VWAP, you're pretty safe to buy those lows on that P-shaped profile, okay? So you have the P-shaped volume profile for the start of the day, as you saw here, kind of a bull flag, right? And then you have the VWAP coming in below price. So you had both your setups that you would look for if you were trying to buy the lows, okay? So let's bring back the volume profile, and I'm going to talk about some of the things that I showed off during the trading day, okay? Actually, let me go over this little bit that's behind the profile, then we'll bring it back. So the first thing that I called out was the range low test. Okay, so I actually did not delete any of our drawings from Friday. So this was all the stuff that we talked about on Friday's stream. So if you guys didn't watch Friday's stream, make sure to go back and check it out. I talked about how to trade the accumulation of that day. This was a capital B profile, so you had a little bit of action on both the high and the low. Hey, Bree, appreciate that Prime sub. You're actually a brand new sub, so welcome. I appreciate that. Thank you. Appreciate you joining the stream, supporting. I don't know if my button's working or not. I probably just spammed it. But thank you very much for giving me the Prime sub. So yeah, on Friday, you saw that capital B shape profile where you had a little bit of price action towards the top, failure downward, and then you had some price action towards the bottom. So you had that kind of capital B, right? And then towards the bottom of that capital B, you had a massive accumulation. We talked about that on Friday. We talked about how to trade that. I did not delete any of the drawings here because we were heading towards that range, and that was going to act as a lot of resistance for the trading day for today. Okay, so I called this out at the start of the day in the Discord. I told you guys that the range low was coming. It was going to act as resistance. Okay, so you saw that test of the range low. It failed downward. That became your high of day. Okay. So then when we failed downward, you put in a low on that daily open. So that blue line is your daily open. Okay. So the daily open acted as the low for this accumulation, and then this shoulder here, this left shoulder, acted as the high of the accumulation. So you had a failure downward, you had your low put in, you had your high put in. This became an accumulation range, okay? So then all of these little arrows, all these levels here are basically just testing your accumulation. So you had a bounce off the daily open, off the accumulation low, off of VWAP. Very, very strong confluence there for a buy. So you had the bounce off the lows there, called out in Discord as well. You came back up to retest the high of the range right there. You failed the high of the range. You bounced off the POC here. So I marked out the POC, called this out in Discord. You were looking for a little bit of support coming out on that POC. So you had a couple of bounces, popped up. The target that I called out in Discord was the value area high. You had the value area high there, which actually became the accumulation deviation, okay? So the accumulation high right here was acting as that high, but then you had a little bit of a deviation here. But at the top of that deviation was the value area high. So that was going to be strong resistance, which gave you kind of an idea that this was not going to be a breakout. This was going to be a deviation, okay? So we called that out. That failed right there, confirming the deviation, came back down towards the low of the range, and then he popped off the low of the range. Once again, we called out the value area high as the target. The value area high price popped up off the accumulation low. You hit the value area high as the target, and then you started to deviate. You started to kind of fail downward off that value area high, right? So we had a little bit of a failure. You kind of chopped in and out of that value area high, and then you retested the accumulation high, okay? So you had the accumulation high back here. Retest, acted as support, and then you popped up, retesting that range low, okay? So you had that range low from yesterday. It was your high of day, and then it was your secondary retest, okay? So once this happened, we called out the POC and the daily open as our targets, right? This was during lunchtime, so we weren't really looking to trade this. But you had your POC and you had your daily open. So you failed your range low, you failed your daily high, failed downward, you tried to find support off the POC, could not do it. Failed downward towards VWAP, tried to find support, could not do it. Failed POC again, back down, we called out the value area low right here. You lose the daily open, value area low and daily low are your targets. So you had the value area low, target hit, tried to reclaim VWAP, did not. We called out this gap in Discord. You tapped that gap pretty much perfectly, bounced out of it. You reclaimed the value area low. Like I've told you guys before, when you reclaim the value area low or you reclaim the value area high, you are going to look for the POC and the other side of the value area. So if it's the value area low, you look for the value area high, and vice versa. Okay? So you reclaimed the value area low. I called out the POC as resistance, and I called out this gap right here. Okay? So the POC got front ran a little bit, and then you failed downward, reclaimed VWAP, popped up, and then you tested that gap pretty much perfectly. Okay? None of this is hindsight. If you guys are in the Discord, I called out every single one of these levels prior to them being tested. Okay? So I know for you guys on stream, this looks like hindsight. I can show you the screenshots once we're done. Pretty much all these levels were called out prior to them being tested. Okay? So you had the small gap here, acted as resistance, pulled back, and then you reclaimed that POC. Okay? So your POC acted as support, popped up. We called out the value area high as your target. You tapped the value area high pretty much to the tick, failed back down to the POC. Okay? You tried to gain the POC here, but then you went for another test. This level was the point of origin here. Okay? So you had the point of origin coming in. There's the point of origin test. Okay? So the point of origin was tested. You failed back down, towards the POC, and then you bounced off the POC as support. Okay? So this gap hasn't been tested. This is a new gap that I'm watching. So I'll move this over. Okay, so after this POC bounce, I called this out in Discord. You were looking for the daily high, and you were looking for the range low. Those were your targets, okay? So you tapped the range high, you tapped the the range low, you tapped the daily high. Both of those targets were hit, okay? Next, I called out this gap here, and then I called out the 50% of the range, okay? So then you came up and you tapped the 50% of the range as your next target. Boom, done, easy. Now we're actually testing the high of the range. You have not tested the gap. That would be your bearish target. Okay, so that is the entire day's worth of price action on the SPY and how you could have traded it. I'll pull up some of these screenshots. We'll go over them. I'll start with the very first screenshot of the day. So here's the very first screenshot of the day where I called out that range low. And then here is where the range began to form. So here's where that range began to form. You see that shoulder being tested, right? Okay. Here's that shoulder failure, and then you're retesting the VWAP and the daily open. This becomes your range low. As you can see here, that becomes your range low. Let me delete these as we go. So there's your range low being tested, popping back up into your accumulation high. Okay. So here is that value area high that we called out. Here's that POC being marked, and then I mentioned that if we lose this value area low, you're going to be looking for, if you lose the daily open, you're going to be looking for the value area low and the daily low, okay? Here is where that kind of value area high deviation started to happen. Here is that value area low being tested after that break of the daily open. Here is where we called out the gap. Let me delete these. We called out that gap as your next target. Here is that gap being tested. Once you reclaimed the value area high, there was the POC resistance that came in and front ran price a little bit. Now there's more screenshots in between these, but I'm not grabbing every single screenshot because there's just too many. What is this one? This one is the small gap that I called out here. So here's where that gap is. You see that gap right here on the left side of the volume profile? There's a tiny little gap there that lines up perfectly with the accumulation high, okay? So you see that small little, that small gap right in that accumulation high resistance. So that was the next target. And then here it's hit right here. So there's that gap being hit. And then we also called out the next target, which would be that value area high. Okay. There's the value area high being tested right off of the POC retest. Here is the next call out for your next target, which was the range low. Also the daily high. But before that happened, you pulled back to the POC for a little bit of a support test. And then here's that breakout right off of that POC. The breakout of the POC straight into the range low, into the daily high. And then that's basically it. And then we have the mid-range. We called out the mid-range here as the next target. And then you had the mid-range be hit there. And now we're basically up to speed. We're all live now. I just wanted to go over how you could watch the volume profile develop throughout the day, and you can grab levels throughout the day to target or to use as supports and resistance for whichever direction you're trading, right? So today, now we're kind of balanced, like I said, but for most of the day, throughout the morning session and the lunch session, it was more of a P shape. It was more of that bullish shape. You had a little bit of volume down towards the bottom, but most of the volume was towards the high. You guys have any questions about anything I just went over, how to find those levels or kind of how to know where to target and what to look for? If you guys have any questions, just feel free to put them in chat and I'll grab them. Pretty standard stuff, though. If you guys watched my volume profile videos, if you guys watched even the new order flow videos that I went over, it's very similar to that as well. One thing that I kept mentioning today was that the 1 hour really wanted to go up, while the shorter time frames, like the 1 minute and the 5 minute, they were really trying to be bearish throughout the morning session. It kept trying to fail downward, but it constantly was getting bought up because the 1 hour was showing that it was extended, right? You were outside that lower band on the wick sniper, and you also had that the bottom warning coming in on the Momo. So the Momo gave you a little bit of a bottom warning. It also gave you a slight bull div. So throughout that kind of morning session, the shorter time frames were really trying to push it downward, but it just wasn't having it because it was too extended. The 1 hour was too extended. You were also seeing slight bull divs on like the 15 minute. So right on the opening of the day here on that gap, you can see a massive bull div on the Momo. The Momo gave you a bull div right on the open. It also gave you a support and a pivot on the other indicators as well. Basically everything was telling you to buy the open on the indicators. The pivots, the supports, you were outside the band, you had a bull div on the Momo. Basically everything was telling you to buy. And now we're seeing a breakout towards the end of the day. This is actually quite a strong breakout. You're back above the entire accumulation of Friday. So very, very strong breakout that we're seeing. You can see the moving averages here. When they start to fan out like that, and they have that very clean fan, where the space in between the moving averages are almost identical, and you have a strong price action to confirm, that's very, very bullish. You can see they flipped here. They were going from kind of consolidation, ranging, to bearish, to just completely flipping bullish here. So if you're a moving average trader, that's kind of how you could have looked at it. Same thing with Ichimoku, kind of just ranging most of the day, and then when you started to break out, you had that clean cloud coming in as support throughout the rise up. Now for VWAP traders, you are retesting that VWAP close of Friday. You're a little extended on the upper VWAP band here, so you are outside the upper band a little bit. So you might fail this VWAP from Friday and pull back inside the band. We'll keep an eye on it. So a little bit of each strategy: VWAP traders, EMA traders, volume profile traders. You can see kind of how Ichimoku traders as well. You can see how you could have traded this session. Now I'm gonna leave this on. I know it's a little ridiculous to keep on the chart for right now, but I'm gonna leave it on here for anybody who's coming in late, so you guys can see kind of my thought process throughout the day. You can see what I was marking. You can see exactly how you could have traded today. So basically what you're watching right now is your main levels are a deviation of the range high. So if you do fail below the range high, you would be looking back into these lower levels. This is range low and the 50 on the range. But if you don't fail that range high and you do continue higher, you would have to go out a little bit to find some targets. And what I would probably target is most likely that range low there, and then your daily open of Friday. So those would be your two breakout targets if you do continue higher. Very unlikely though, you are extended on the VWAP. So you probably will consolidate or pull back here. You also, so this is something that is a little bit more advanced, but if you have a uppercase B session, so we have that uppercase B, right? And like I always told you guys, that uppercase B gives you a gap in the middle, right? So if you have an uppercase B and then you have your next trading day, it doesn't really matter what kind of session it is. It could be a balanced session. It could be a P-shaped session. It could be a lowercase b. The lowercase b would be the least likely scenario for what I'm about to tell you, but so it'd be balanced is kind of 50-50. The P-shape is where you kind of want to use this technique, and then the lowercase b, this technique would have kind of a lower probability. But the technique is, if you have an uppercase B as your previous session, and then you have a balanced profile or a P-shaped profile on a lower session for your target of that. So if you have a bullish target, if this is breaking out to the upside for your bullish target, you want to target that gap as your final target. Now, as your kind of as your primary target, as your first target, you could target the daily low or like that range low. But your final target, where you really want to take most of your profit, where you want to see kind of the biggest move, is that gap. So like this gap in between this session here, if you have a breakout day on the next session, you want to see that gap being filled. Now this could go for a bearish day as well. So let's say you had an uppercase B and then you broke out towards the end of the day, and then you have your balance session or you have your lowercase b session. Okay? Same thing here. You would want to target that high of day, but you want to have a primary target of that gap. Okay? So if you have a bearish day here, you could be balanced or you could be kind of bullish, and you would target that that gap in the middle. So this little gap right here in between these two nodes, that would be your final target. That area of rejection, right? Okay, so look at what we're currently seeing. Kind of like what I was just saying, you're outside of VWAP, so you're probably going to consolidate or you're probably going to pull back. Now that you're pulling back towards that range high, you really have to pay attention, because if it bounces off that range high, you could really start to go for an impulse move up here. But if you fail that range high and you get back below it and it becomes a deviation, you're very likely to retest that mid of the range and even the low of the range. And then if you lost these levels, you would want to look for your lower levels, right? Your POC, your VWAP. We've got a gap there as well. But don't get that ahead of yourself. Watch for the deviation. If it becomes a deviation, you'd want to be looking for the mid of the range and the low of the range. But if it acts as support, which it currently is, this could really start to continue this impulse. If you guys haven't already, I released 2 new videos recently. This is the most recent. This is on order flow using volume profile techniques. Okay, so this is part 2. I just released it today. Part 1 was released on Friday. So make sure you watch part 1 before you watch part 2. Obviously, you don't really have to. They're not. It's not in progression, so it's not. It's not a type of video where you have to watch part 1, but they are the. It's recommended to watch part 1. You want to watch part 1 first, and then part 2 is on the third technique. So part 1 is going over more of a longer term technique and an intraday technique, and then part 2 is going over a scalping technique. So if you guys want to learn how to use like volume profile, learn how to use order flow for any of those style of tradings, watch the order flow videos. So we're still breaking out. This red line here is the daily high. So the new indicator here marks out the daily high, the daily open, the daily low. So it's going to follow. I think I don't have my Twitch chat. Are you guys talking in Twitch chat? Because I just posted that message and it says that it's not going to Twitch chat. I do apologize. You guys are talking in Twitch chat. Let me. How do I fix that? Give me a second. Let me go to settings here. Sorry guys, you guys have been talking in Twitch. Yeah, it's not letting me connect. Give me 1 second. Let me go to restream here and see if I can fix this. Wondering why the chat was a little slow today. Yeah, it's not connecting. Restream is not connecting to Twitch. Weird. Can you guys see my stream on Twitch? Hopefully it's broadcasting at least. Hey Glock, I see you in Twitch chat, but it's not coming up in my other chat. Okay, so let me pop this out here. Hey Glock, I see you. Oops, let me mute this. Sorry. Let me pop this out. Where's the pop out button? Am I blind? Where's pop out? Oh, here it is. Got it. Okay, let's delete this. There we go. Sorry, guys. I have missed all of your messages. So if you have said anything in Twitch chat throughout the video, I missed it. I do apologize. But here is that link. I'll post it in Twitch chat. If you guys asked any questions or said anything, feel free to repost it. I'm not sure why my restream is not showing my Twitch chat. Kind of annoying. See if I can fix this. No, it doesn't give me any settings to fix it, so I'm not going to worry about it. But all right, so let me we took a look at SPY. Let's take a look at Bitcoin as well. I didn't do any analysis on Bitcoin today on the volume profile analysis, but it has been playing. Let me hide these levels. It has been playing perfectly to some of the analysis that we did in Discord not too long ago. So this right here was a level that we called out in Discord for a target of a breakout, and it actually acted as a perfect resistance pretty much to the dollar. This was a high volume node on the volume profile. Let me see if I can get a screenshot for you guys. Yeah, so here. So this right here, you see this little node? You have a balanced profile, and then you have little nodes up here, right? These are going to be your targets for a breakout. So I called this out in Discord because it started to break out here. You can see the EMAs start to fan out. You're breaking the POC. It looked really good on the Momo. So this right here was your final target. This right here was the local target. And then you popped up into that local target, failed it pretty much perfectly, and then bounced back down into the POC. That's just one more trick you can do with the volume profile. You see that bounce day. You have these little nodes that are like magnets, right? They're like price magnets. So you have a little bit of area of rejection, which price doesn't typically hang out in for very long. So you broke through that area of rejection right into that area of acceptance on that high volume node, and that acted as resistance. So nice little trick you can do on the volume profile. So if I was looking at Bitcoin currently, what I would be paying attention to is basically the same exact thing. You have that value area high, kind of on this red line here, a little bit higher. You have that resistance at that same point on that high. So maybe like a cup and handle breakout. But once you get above that resistance, once you get above that high, there really is nothing there. There is no resistance locally, okay? But if you use the point of origin technique, you know that this little upper session here, around like 93.30, that's going to give you a little bit of a supply problem, right? There's going to be a little bit of sell pressure right there. So it doesn't show up on the volume profile, but you will see some sell pressure most likely on that high. So right now we're looking like we're pretty bullish. You're breaking out of VWAP, you're breaking out of the POC, you're heading into the value area high. So as long as it doesn't shift direction very violently, you should be testing that value area high. I've said this before, I've gone over this in my videos as well. When you are in a low volume day or like a low volume session, your value area high, your value area low, and your POC are going to be like magnets, right? And when you're testing those levels, unless there is like an influx of volume, you will not break those levels. The POC you will break as you're pushing towards the value area high or value area low. But the value area high and the value area low, unless you see an influx in volume, you will not break those levels, and it will continuously be resistance and support. It will give you a range. That's what creates that balanced day, is when you have kind of that low volume scenario where you just constantly zigzag into those levels. Hey, Digital, what's going on, man? So you're breaking out still. You're heading towards that target, that kind of that range low there. And keep an eye on it. We have about 20 minutes left in the day. So let's look at the volume profile here. Our value area high is very far away. So this breakout is pretty standard. It's not that healthy because you're not seeing a whole ton of volume coming in as your price is rising. VWAP is still very far away. If you look at your VWAP extensions, your deviations here, you're still outside of VWAP. So it's not the most healthy breakout, but it is a very strong breakout. So trying to predict the top of a breakout like this would be pretty risky. Eventually you would be right if you kept taking stabs at it, but you would probably lose a lot of trades trying to predict these tops. For the most part, you want to be paying attention to the pullbacks, right? The little miniature kind of point of origins. Like right here, you have kind of an SR flip. That is your local level. If you start to fail that, then you would probably start to be bearish for a little bit. Very, very hard to predict the tops on moves like these because they're not very healthy, so you're not really getting the volume where you should be getting it. So it's kind of hard to predict where the volume's going to stop. Sorry, I was responding to some business emails. I'm probably going to cut up the video that from the start of today where we recapped the day, and I'm going to post that on YouTube as well because I think it's a very good description on kind of how I read price action when I'm doing my volume profile analysis, or I'm looking for like volume profile levels, right? So I'm going to cut out that first part of the video of today, and I'll probably have that added onto YouTube. Sadly, I forgot to put an ending on that little session. I should have said, "Oh, thanks for watching, guys," blah blah, but I can't do it now because it will make the video like twice as long. Hey, ZX, what's going on, man? So nothing too crazy to watch here. You're basically just watching an impulse move up. You don't really want to trade against these moves. Like I said, it's going to be very hard to find a top on moves like this So you're better off buying the dips than you are selling the highs. Especially when you have the P-shape volume profile breakout. So we started the day on a P-shape where you had that failure downward, little bit of volume, but then you broke out and then you ranged and then you broke out again. So when you're doing this, you really want to be careful selling the highs and you want to be paying attention to buying the lows. Hey, Melvin, you said what would be considered as a high probability trade for the analysis on SPY? Basically everything that I mentioned in my recap. The value area high test, the losing POC, the value area high deviations, what else? The range high test, the range low test. Pretty much everything in my recap, those are all high probability trades. Today was a picture perfect volume profile trading day. So like if you were a volume profile trader and you were using kind of similar techniques to what I do, today was perfect. That's why I'm going to make a video out of today. And if you guys are in Discord, like I said, you guys could see it unfold. So this isn't all hindsight bullshit. All of these levels were called out prior to them happening in the Discord. So you guys can see exactly how to use volume profile in your day-to-day trading, right? So I know a lot of you guys are coming in late, so you missed the recap. I'm going to have the recap highlighted and put on YouTube. It's going to be put on YouTube anyway as a whole video, so you guys can just go back and watch this video. But I'm going to cut it out, and it's going to be like a, I don't know, how long was the highlight? Like 15 minutes? It's going to be like a 15-minute video. But yeah, all of those trades I talked about earlier, those are all great trades. Okay, so here's where it's starting to like, it looks a little toppy. So this is where people try to short this, right? Which it could pay off. Like I said, eventually you're going to catch this top. But it looked toppy here. It looked toppy here as well. It's very hard to predict these tops when you see that breakout of that strong range, right? You had a very strong range, and now you're breaking out of it. So trying to predict these tops, very, very hard. Now, where I would try to short this is on a test of that range low, which would be a gap fill, right? So you're hitting your primary target. Where I told you guys in the start of the video, if you have that uppercase B shape, and then you have that kind of P shape or balance shape on the next day, you want to target that gap, right? Look at where we're hitting. Look at where the price is hitting right now. The price is filling in that gap. Okay? This is very common. You'll see, I wouldn't say very common, but it's common. You'll see this quite often. So when you see that uppercase B, always pay attention to your next day. Because your next day, it's quite likely to retrace into that previous day. So I'll go over it again for you guys who are coming in late. I'll go over it kind of quickly. If you have an uppercase B day, it doesn't matter if it's a bullish day or a bearish day. Let's say it's a bullish day, then you want to look out for the lowercase b or the balanced profile. And if either one of these start to fail downward, you target that middle of the uppercase B. If you have an uppercase B that fails downward, you want to look for that P shape, which we saw today, which is now balanced, but it was a P shape in the beginning of the day, or the balanced day. And then if either one breaks out to the upside, you're targeting that gap. Okay? And that's exactly what we're seeing right now. We're seeing that gap fill of your previous day. Okay? Today, like I said, now it's balanced. Let me hide all this. Now it's balanced, but I'll show you. Let me delete all this. But if you look at, let me go to indicators, volume profile, fixed range. If you look at the opening of the day, to, like, let's say here, or I could even probably go here. Now let me hide this. That's a P shape. Okay? You have a little bit of volume on the low, but most of your volume is on the high. Okay? So that gives you that kind of uppercase P shape. Those are bullish. What lines up perfectly with that is the VWAP, right? So if you have an uppercase P shape and you have your VWAP trailing below price, you want to be very careful selling the highs, because at any moment, if the volume comes in, you could break out into a new session. And that's exactly what we saw towards the end of the day. So it took a little bit longer today than it typically does, but there were only a few opportunities here to sell the highs and make money. And those opportunities came during those range tests, right? So you had the range low test there and there. You had a couple of value area high test, and then you had kind of a value area high test back here as well. But besides that, you really did not have any opportunities to sell the highs. Almost all of today, you should have been buying the lows. You had so many opportunities to buy the lows, right? Because today was bullish. And you knew that from basically the first 2 hours of the day. 2 to 3 hours of the day, the first half of the day, you knew that it was bullish. Because it was P-shaped and the VWAP was trailing below price. Now, everything that I'm going over, you guys can use this in crypto trading as well. So if you're just crypto traders here, I've shown this in crypto plenty of times. You can use this in crypto as well. Hey, Moneybag, what's going on, man? Oh, you said you want to look at Veri? I can take a look at Veri. Is that Veritone? I traded Veritone back in the day. It's actually a lot higher than when I traded it. So we have a P shape on Veritone. So Veritone, I traded way back in the day on a $4 accumulation. I think it was this one here. Might have been a $3 accumulation. Let's go to our new indicator here. Let's take out these levels. Let's look at our higher levels. Let's take a look at the monthly levels. So yeah, you're breaking out of a monthly high here. You're doing very good. Basically, once you swing failured these monthly lows, you had 2 monthly lows here. Look at this. You break the monthly lows and you reclaim those lows. You see that reclaim there? It's a little bit lower, but almost a perfect reclaim. So you reclaim the monthly lows, boom. Massive breakout there. So that's a monthly swing low failure right here. It's almost like a Quasimodo. So that's your monthly. Let's look at the quarterly levels. Yeah, same thing on the quarterly. You see this quarterly level here? Look at this quarterly. So once you reclaim that quarterly, very, very strong breakout. You're currently in a quarterly high. You're retesting your quarterly open from back in May to September. Now let's take a look at the yearly levels. So the yearly is about middle of last year. So you had the open, the high was pretty high. You're about mid-range of that year. So very, very bullish here. They must have had good earnings. I'm not even going to bother looking at the earnings on TradingView because they haven't even had earnings yet, actually. It's on May 10th. The earnings are ridiculously off on TradingView. So many times I've seen the earnings on TradingView. They say they're awful. You go check them out. They're actually bullish. It makes no sense. I don't know where they get their earnings data on TradingView, but they're not right. So be careful, guys. Sometimes they're right, but very often they're wrong. Yeah, so P shape is bullish. Lowercase b is bearish. Uppercase B could be bullish or bearish. So here, I'll draw them out for you. P is bullish. Lowercase b is bearish. These two are neutral. Neutral and neutral. Those are basically all the profiles you're going to see. You could have little other ones, but Those are the four main ones. But yeah, it looks really good, man. Looks really late to enter a long, though. I definitely wouldn't be longing here. But you could have caught this accumulation many different ways. You could have caught the breakout of the high. You could have caught the swing failure low. You're kind of testing a point of origin. Look at this point of origin here. Let's get rid of these levels here. You're kind of testing this point of origin. You see that point of origin right there? You're damn near hitting it perfectly. You're hitting the low of it. So you have that low being tested. The high's not being tested. Your upper target would be kind of this upper range right here. So you have a little bit more of a point of origin, the range low. And then you have kind of that upper point of origin. So if you failed this, I'd be watching for Fibonacci as your supports. Let's say you failed here. You have these levels here coming in as your support. These are the supports I'd watch. These are the resistances I'd watch. If you fail downward to the 618, let's say here, and let me flip this. This would be your target. So if you bought the buy zone test, your target would be the 1618, which would be about 830 to 850. By the way, guys, this is a new indicator I just released to Discord. So if you guys are in Discord, if you guys don't have access to this, DM me. I'm pretty sure I got everybody. But if I did miss you, just make sure to let me know. I put this into the Oasis Trading Suite. It was going to be a part of the OTS, but then it made the OTS really laggy on the loading time. So I took it out. I made it free. We have another free indicator coming out very soon. It's going to be very experimental. It's something that I'm testing. It's not something that I've had in the works for a long time. It's just kind of a new technique, a new formula that I'm testing. So I'll release this to you guys pretty soon so you guys can test it out. But don't rely too heavily on it. It's going to be very experimental. It's basically a relative volume moving average. So it's a relative volume moving average along with relative volume bars. So it shows you when the bars are breaking out of their relative volume, and you can do a lot of adjusting here for the multipliers and whatnot to see which one you like. It's basically a volume-weighted moving average, but it ignores low volume. So it's kind of like VWAP, but it ignores low volume. I'll be releasing that to you guys for free very soon. I'm trying to get our free indicators up to at least like 10. We currently have 7. I want to get like 3 more indicators for you guys. Okay, so here is the failure that started to happen, but you're already recovering. So you see that? God damn it. You see that SR flip coming in? You're trying to lose that high, but you can't. You're still holding that high. Sorry, I was responding to a message. So we have 3 minutes left on the daily session for the SPY. Very, very strong day. I think you're up about, let's see. You're actually only a little bit of a break even. But once again, they do their formula a little weird. So if you count it from the open, not from the close of yesterday, we're actually positive about 1%. But compared to the gap, we're about break even. Oh yeah, Digital, I didn't bring up Webull today. I didn't bring him up today. I'm still waiting on my deposit for us to be able to trade on the stream account. It should be here in a couple of days. I'm putting $400 in there for us to play with on stream. What we're going to do is you guys are going to call out like tickers or something for me to look at, and I'll take a look at a few. We'll buy some on our stream account. We'll sell them every couple of days. This is going to be a little fun thing for stream. I want to get you guys involved, kind of build like a kind of a stream portfolio. But I don't want you guys to lose all of my money, so I only threw in 400. If we do very well and the stream actually, if you guys know what you're talking about, I'll give you guys some more money to play with. You said Kala and SSYS are troopers. I added them. You added on to them today. Let's take a look. It should be on our watch list here, stream watch list. Yeah, Kala's up 10%, SSYS up 5%. Nice. So here's the stream watch list so far. Pretty much everything's green. You guys are calling out some good tickers. I added a couple of these, so they're not all from you guys, but you guys did call out some good ones. RWT looks really ready to break out. Nice accumulation here. Gap down, reversed. Pretty strong bull flag. That's a 618 test. I don't even have to pull it up, but I can pull it up. You can pretty much tell from just looking at it. That's a 618 test. Yeah, 618 right there. You see that? That's a perfect 618 test. You had a little bit of a wick, but you never closed below it. This doesn't look bad. That's a buy zone test there. That is a buy zone test. You're reclaiming the 12 moving average on the daily as well. RSI, MACD climbing. Not terrible. This reclaims the 200 here on the daily. Could be good tomorrow. Hey JD, he said stream portfolio. That's a cool idea. Yeah, I want to give you guys an opportunity to kind of get involved in stream and give me some tickers to watch, and we can play around with a little bit of money. I mean, it's not going to be a lot. We're not going to make a lot of money doing it, but we make like $20 here and there. It'll be a fun little time. And if you guys do well, you guys make a lot of money, I'll do a bunch of giveaways for stream. We'll give it back to the stream, obviously. So if you guys are doing fantastic, we make like $1,000, we'll do a bunch of giveaways. I think it's a fun little idea for the stream. So daily close should have... Okay, it just happened actually. So daily close, pretty strong. Nothing too crazy. Didn't see a sell-off. Still holding the uptrend. A little bit of a sell-off towards the end of the day, but had a pretty strong close. I don't try to predict like if it's going to gap up tomorrow or gap down tomorrow. I don't really care. I don't try to predict stuff like that. I don't hold overnight, so I like it doesn't affect me to try to predict stuff like that. So it does look like we're a very bullish close, but with everything that goes on overnight with all the coronavirus stuff, it's pointless to try to predict like if it's trying to gap up or gap down. Yeah, so if you guys came in late today, all of these drawings here was kind of me going over how to trade the daily session using my volume profile techniques, my accumulation distribution techniques, stuff like that. I'm going to take the first recap of today. I'm going to clip it out and I'm going to post it on YouTube by itself for you guys who don't really want to watch through the entire stream. You just want to see kind of the good bits. I'll clip that out. I'll post it on stream. Probably be in the next couple of days or so. If you guys haven't already, make sure to check out the video that went live today. It's the second part of the accumulation of the order flow video. So if you guys watched part 1, part 2 got released today. So make sure to check that out. Part 1 is on track to be my biggest video ever. But we'll see if it keeps up. If it hits the YouTube algo, it could be my biggest video ever. To put it in perspective, the volume profile video is my biggest video with about 25,000 views. That video, it took 50 days to get to 300 views. And then it started to hit the YouTube algo, and it really took off. The order flow video did over 300 views in 2 days. So if it keeps going and it hits that YouTube algo, it's going to go nuts. So I really appreciate you guys supporting those videos, supporting the channel. You guys have been absolutely insane on the YouTube lately. The YouTube has already overtaken my Twitch. So we predicted the YouTube was going to overtake the Twitch in a couple of months. It's already overtaken the Twitch. So you guys are insane on YouTube, man. I really appreciate the support. Thank you for liking the videos, for subscribing, all that. I couldn't do what I do without you guys, so I appreciate you guys being around. I'm going to keep this video short and sweet. I'm going to call it on that. I'll be back tomorrow. We'll be streaming for the rest of the week. I'm going to throw in a morning stream probably on Wednesday. So we'll do another Webull Wednesday where I'll come in. We'll do a morning stream. We'll talk about some penny stocks. We'll look at the scanners. We'll try to predict which ones are breaking out and whatnot. So on Wednesday, we'll do a morning stream and probably an afternoon stream as well. Tomorrow, I'm going to do just the afternoon stream. So I'll see you guys around 3 p.m. Eastern. So if you guys want to come back for the stream, I'll see you guys tomorrow. You guys have a good rest of your night. And yeah, that's it. That's all I got for you guys. I'll see you guys tomorrow. Peace out, guys.